Oh, this is backwards. Hey, how you doing? This is John Crazy Hair Longbox. I guess I forgot to comb my hair when I woke up. How you doing? Welcome to Sunday Comics, and today we're going to check out X-Men 115. Just look at this comic cover. This is just glorious. John Byrne, Terry Austin artwork. Oh my God, look at that. Tell me if you were my age. What was this? 1978. So I was 10 years old. Tell me if you are a 10-year-old boy, you see this at the stationery store, you aren't like, I gotta have this. Enter Sauron. This is so much fun. Look at that cover. I'm so excited. That ominous red background. This big freaking dinosaur man just in just looming. I gotta say, the only weakness is Storm's face looks a little off, but otherwise, this is just a perfect cover. Oh, here's Storm's. Just Storm's face looks a little off, but this is just glorious, glorious. Enter Sauron. I even say probably if they just left off these words, I think it would have been even better. I'm a fan of captions on the cover, but this in this particular case, I think it would have been better off. I'm actually going to put words on the cover for Punchline Annual #1 because I'm trying to make it reminiscent of the old JLA, John Byrne, George Perez JLA's with the team and everything, the roster, and then on the cover, and then some word balloons. So anyway, this is Sunday Comics. I always filibuster a bit until people come in. So I might as well start with talking about Fund My Comic, Heroic Tales. It's still shipping. Slow and steady wins the race. I hope I win the race. I'm sending out comics deluxe. I have 4 pages of actually, I have 5 pages because I got the 1 page. So there's 5 pages of orders. And I'm on the 4th page. I started the 4th page. So the Kickstarter page is shorter than the Fund My Comic page. So so I guess I'm 80% done. 80% done. And also on those pages, there's a lot of people who just got digital. That's almost done. So I'm creeping there. Just sent a big box with comics and pint glasses to Warsaw. Wow, it cost $60. $60 to send it to Warsaw, Poland. But there you go. I mean, it's coming out of the money that I put aside for shipping, but still $60. I think I collected 40. Hope you're having a blessed day. Yes, I am. And Zach Tan was there last night. I know you're going to be leaving for church pretty soon. Zach, so do you watch these later, or I'm just curious? Blessed Sun, so far so good. It's snowing here in New York. Not a lot. It's like a pleasant amount of snow. It's going to make it cozy in the house. My wife and I I wanted to go to the mall yesterday and get poutine, but I was in my pajamas and it was snowing. And my wife just went to Walmart, said it was crazy. So I was like, would you be upset if we just stayed lazy at home? And she was like, that's fine. And we cooked up some food that we had, but still got the craving for poutine, but that's fine. That's fine. There's a place in the mall that just the the best poutine I ever had was Smokes Poutinery in Toronto, Canada. And this place is the same. The only reason that makes Smokes even better is they got like a billion different varieties. You can get chili, you can get this, you can get that. Where this place is just poutine. But other than that, but it's snowing out. Just be cozy at home. Today is just going to be a cozy day. I'll ship packages, and then I want to get the like right after dinner. I'm gonna load up the pages for the 12-page story for Punchline Annual, and then I'm gonna do the lettering script, and I'll send the lettering script to Bill, and I'm done. It's so much fun. I'm done. Somebody else is gonna handle it. It's. I'm sure he'll send me the finish just to approve. That the word balloons went to the right place. We'll check for typos, but then I'm done. Good morning from snowy West Michigan. How much snow you got? How much snow you got? I imagine guys must be ready to deal with snow at a moment's notice up there. I know, like Buffalo, New York, like they just are champs when it comes to snow. They could deal with feet of snow, But like over here on Long Island, like schools closed at a dusting. See. I don't pay attention because I don't have kids and I'm years out of school. But I wonder if the public schools are going to be closed tomorrow. I watch live while I can, then I watch the rest later. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you very much. Hey, Marcus is here. How you doing? Marcus was on the studio last night. I like your drawing. Good job. Lot cool artwork. I like seeing everybody do some art. I really like how thick John Byrne draws everyone. Superheroes should have girth. Yeah, it's funny because one of his critiques is that Colossus is a little too thin, but a lot of people drew Colossus. I mean, the name Colossus implies mass and huge. It means big thing. But I kind of got used to the John Byrne's Terry Cockrum slender Colossus, But other people draw him almost as big as Juggernaut. But I don't know. Byrne's art can do no wrong. Look at his coloring mistake. I just noticed his band isn't colored. So last night I did a read through of Heroic Tales #1, and it was a lot of fun for me. I hope it was fun for you guys. So go check out that video. It's I was looking through all Heroic Tales 2. Obviously, I was packing them in boxes. Every once in a while, I'd grab a #1, and I was like, I want to stream. I've been sitting here by myself all day long, and it's too late to call my friends, and you know what I mean. So I was like, all right. So I turned on the stream, and I just read cover to cover Heroic Tales 1, and it's literally the first time I read it in like a year. Marcus says he gets sick of the page that he's drawing on over, writing it, revamping it, rewriting it, looking at the art. I check the script every time a page comes in, like Renzo or somebody will send me a page, and I say, okay, let me check it against the script when I get home, because I can't possibly remember every detail. Then I look at the script, I'm like, okay, or this needs to be changed. So, you get sick of it, and then you proofread it, and then when you first buy it, you read it, and then you're sick of it. And now, anytime I write a story, I got to go back, make sure the continuity's in check. I don't want to contradict myself. But so it was the first time I read it, and I got to say it was better than I remember it. I of course, when I wrote it, I thought it was the greatest thing. I'm like, John Byrne's going to come out of retirement and want to draw my comic book. And, you know what I mean? You get ridiculous. But if you don't think like that, don't write comics. It's supposed to be fun And then I was embarrassed by it for a while. I was like, oh man, I can't believe I wrote this. And anytime anybody said anything nice, I was like, this guy's gassing me up or whatever. I was like, they can't possibly be thinking it's any good. And then when I wrote issue 2, I was so like, oh man, issue 1 is so bad. This is so much better. But you're supposed to think that way. And then I went back and read issue 1. It was better than I remembered it. It held up better than I remembered it. Held up. It's only a year. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm back to being proud of it. I was kind of embarrassed by it for a little while. So anyway, what did you guys think of issue 1? And if you got issue 2, what did you think? But anyway, let's get to X-Men 115. I just wanted to filibuster a bit. We got enough people. We could start. So check out this cover. We got Wolverine going after Colossus, Nightcrawler, Cyclops. The only one missing is Banshee. What, he couldn't have put Banshee on this cover? Guess not. Where would you have put Banshee? All right, so let's open it up. So, all right. They'll bring us up to speed. So check out, we got the Spider-Man in action figure, as I used to call it. My friend Sean had one of these. So it's plastic molded, and it stays in that position. The most unheroic pose ever. It's the Spider-Man waiting for a bus pose. So it's this big, solid plastic thing. And the reason why it didn't move is it had motors inside of it. And You push the button, and the motors would pull this rope up, so it would look like it was climbing up. Meanwhile, it was just bumping against the wall. Bump, 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 bump. You know what I mean? And then you threw this heavy rubber web-shaped thing, and it would drag things over to look like it was sticking. And then on the other hand, you put in this light, and because the battery, the flashlight would go on. That do they still have Spider-Man with this flashlight with the spider symbol? And then there was little plugs in his feet, and you put it in this, and the helicopter would spin around. It had the Spidey copter, and then they made a Green Goblin. I've never seen the Green Goblin one though. Never saw the Green Goblin one. So going forward, I'll do the page comments. So let's check out. Well, let's do the comments before I start the page. Issues sound like problems. Oh, issue 1. Oh, okay. That was a big problem to make. Hit every problem in the world making that comic. What is that flaking off Colossus? Uniform of skin. I thought Wolverine wasn't strong enough to cut through Colossus. I don't know how. I don't like how they draw Wolverine hitting Colossus. Yeah. So what is? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's an interesting observation. All I know is Wolverine's claws, the adamantium, and adamantite is from Greek mythology. It's the strongest metal known. Hercules' mace is made of adamantite. Hades' throne is made of adamantite. And I think Kronos' sickle was adamantite. But anyway, so they made adamantium, and it's the strongest made-up metal in Marvel Comics. So the adamantite can pierce Colossus's organic steel. It's steel. Now, is Wolverine strong enough to cut through it? That's the issue. I'm of the opinion that yeah, with the adamantium, he could almost cut through everything if he gets a good enough strong enough. Like Wolverine ain't weak. Could Wolverine's claws cut through a steel plate? What do you think? Do you think he could cut through a steel plate? I would say yes. So I would say he can cut through Colossus's steel armor. So these is just flakes. Now remember, when Colossus turns human, he heals. And then when he comes back, the armor is repaired. So that's what I think. But this could be cloth from his costume. But I would say he could cut through Colossus, and I think he has in some. Great cover. Yeah, I agree. Weird. Almost all my toys growing up were posable. I know, except for this Spider-Man in action figure. Good old Spider-Man. That toy sucked. Yep, we got somebody who remembers the in action figure. Hey, Chris, how you doing? How's your neck? Good morning, Chris. How's everything? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Stab Man versus Armor Guy. That's pretty much what you got. Stab Man versus Armor Guy. So, you got right in under the wire. The only thing Wolverine probably could have trouble with is Captain America's shield. Yeah, well, Captain America's shield is magic science. So is Wolverine's claws to a lesser extent. But Captain America's shield, that is the conceit, is that it's unbreakable. Nothing can get through it, and it's irreplaceable. It's uncopyable, you know what I mean? So therefore it's an artifact. It's a legend. It's the One Ring, it's the equivalent of Thor's hammer. It's just unbreakable, nothing can ruin it. So yeah, it can't, it can't nothing. That's the magic of it. It's I know it's not magic, but it might as well be magic. It is. No way could it ever be damaged. I think the only time it was ever damaged, to my recollection, is the Molecule Man disintegrated it and then reassembled it. Once he disintegrated it, I knew at the end of the story he was going to bring it back. But that's, as far as I know, the only way to destroy Captain America's shield is molecular disintegration. So let's check out the credits. We got Chris Claremont and John Byrne, Rabelaisian Racketeers. I don't even know if I pronounced that correct, but what they're saying is Chris Claremont and John Byrne together created the story. So I'm going to, since it doesn't exactly delineate the differences, Chris Claremont and John Byrne plotted it. Chris Claremont wrote it, and then John Byrne drew it. I think that's how they broke down the labor. And Marcus, you said that they didn't get along, like they it was a contestuous work relationship, and if so, more people should have contestuous work relationships, because this is awesome. Is it like two passionate, hot-headed guys working together produced a great comic. Then we got Terry Austin is the inker, Rick Parker the letterer, Francois Maut, I can't read it, Moley the colorist. I've never heard that name before. Roger Stern, editor, and Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. Visions of Death. You got to scream out that. That's a title that you scream. If my wife wasn't upstairs, kind of sleeping, kind of awake, I would yell. But Visions of Death. Look at that. That is a great splash page. Again, anybody new to this, splash page is when there's one panel on a page, usually the first page, but not always. I claim this she-mutant. I claim this she-mutant's life, X-Men, so I shall claim yours. And then Sauron shall rule the Savage Land. So remember, they are in the Savage Land. Maybe I'll hold off on the... I'll bring you up to speed in case anybody's confused. The X-Men fought Magneto in the underground lair beneath an active volcano. Of course, the active volcano collapsed and separated Jean Grey, Phoenix, and Hank McCoy, the Beast, from the rest of the X-Men. Both groups think the other group is dead, and the X-Men, Phoenix and Beast, made it back home. Xavier now thinks they're dead. These guys are laboring under the illusion that Phoenix and Beast are dead, and they're trying to... they made it to this little idyllic little caveman village in the Savage Land, which is filled with dinosaurs. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Marcus, you know the deep lore. The Savage Land was just a dinosaur world, and I think it first debuted in the X-Men, right? Marcus, am I correct? And they met Kazar around X-Men 3 or 4 or something like that. And so, Kazar was an Atlas Marvel comic character, but they brought him back when Atlas became Marvel in the pages of the X-Men, and the character was slightly different. He was slightly different. I'm not too familiar with the Atlas version, but it's a reimagining of an earlier Marvel Atlas character, and they brought it back, and it was just like a dinosaur world. So it was kind of like Tarzan and Pellucula or whatever. And then later on, I don't want to say they retconned it because they didn't explore all of the X-Men, but I will say that I think it was they definitely said that it was the Kree created this oasis on Antarctica, and they put in these machines that kept the atmosphere going, and the machines were powered by thermal vents and things like that. So they were these Magic Science eternal powered source machines, and they kept heat, atmosphere, and whatever humidity, and for dinosaurs. But remember, dinosaurs didn't all exist. When I was a kid, I thought every dinosaur existed at the same time. But I didn't know Dimetrodons were millions of years before Tyrannosaurus Rex, stuff like so. So just having all these dinosaurs together is an anachronism. So somewhere along the way, they made it that it was they just took animal species and put it there, and it was like a zoo of a collection of every species that ever existed, humans included. That's why you got saber-toothed tigers that didn't exist at the time of the dinosaurs. And how do you say Balchuntheriums? The giant bear sloths, and so it's just a Noah's Ark land. And then why are there not dodos there? Because dodos weren't around or whatever when the Kree, because somewhere around 11,000 years ago, the Kree abandoned Earth due to encroachments from the Skrull and blah, 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 blah. Now, Marcus, is this still the lore or did it change? So my question originally is, it's not just a dinosaur land. It's like all animals that go extinct. So, of course, people message me while I'm on. But anyway, let's get back to this. So now that's where the X-Men are. And they've been here for a couple of weeks now. We know that Colossus has been, as the kids would say, knocking boots. We know Banshee was. Now the question is, was Nightcrawler, was Cyclops, and was Wolverine? Wolverine specifically said no, but in that particular instance, because he's pining for Jean Grey, and so is Cyclops. So, the questions are, does Banshee have kids over here? Because they brought back that Colossus had children. So now we got Sauron. Sauron was he's a mutant himself, and his mutant power is he feeds off the energy of other mutants. He looks human, but when he feeds off too much energy, it triggers a transformation, and he looks like a pterodactyl man. And he took the name Sauron because he was reading Lord of the Rings at the time that he discovered this ability. I'm not even joking. That's what it is. And he has a few powers that I know of. He can siphon off the energy of mutants. Now, could he siphon off the Fantastic Four or Spider-Man's powers? Is it superpowers or is it mutant power? I don't know the difference yet. I don't know if there's a distinction for that as far as Sauron's abilities. And then when he hits a certain level, he transforms. And I don't know if in his human form or just his dinosaur form, but he could mesmerize you with his eyes. So that's why he's Sauron, because Sauron can mesmerize you with his eyes, even though he never did that in the book. But that's what this guy said. So Storm was swimming in the water when she got attacked by Sauron. So that's why Storm is all. She just had her life force removed from her. Now I'm wondering if could Sauron just siphon the life force of normal humans, or is it just mutants? I kind of forget. I'm sure they will tell us in the dialogue. So let's check out the comments, and then I'll go to the next page. Storm is in full babe mode. She is in full babe mode the entire time that John Byrne draws her. As far as I'm concerned, nobody draws her better than John Byrne. To the point, it's almost like hide your comic. When I was a kid, I was just like, my parents can't see this, like when Jean Grey was in bikini, stuff like that, but she never seemed so lascivious. Is that the word? Lascivious? I don't know, but inducive of sexual desire, as the way he drew Storm. Why is Banshee not as big in the animated series? Or big as in physically big, like muscular, or big as in have a big role? And the answer is I can't. It's by the time the X-Men animated series came out in '97, I was so sick of the X-Men. I still have never watched it. Or in the early movies. Why isn't there a good X-Men movie yet? All these X-Men movies, not one of them were good. I can't wait till the X-Men Elseworld is published. I know. Keep me posted. Let me know when it's coming out. Reminds me of The Land That Time Forgot. Yeah, that's a trope. There's so many hidden dinosaur lands, places where there's dinosaurs. Issue 4 of Heroic Tales will tell you what my hidden dinosaur land is. I mean, the name of the story is Let's Save the Dinosaurs. This was my best X-Men team. Mine too. Noah's Ark land is a good way to put it. Oh, thank you. I wish Barry Windsor Smith did a 12-issue arc of Commandy. Oh my God. I wish Barry Windsor Smith could do a 12-issue arc of Willie Lumpkin delivering mail, and it would be awesome. Hominids, pre-humans, Cro-Magnon, Neanderthals existed alongside some large predators, large birds, giant sloths, but not dinosaurs. Yes. I remember the first time I learned that. It was a huge disappointment to little kid me. I was like, what do you mean humans? Humans and cavemen? Dinosaurs and humans never coexisted? That was so disappointing. So disappointing to me. probably much to the enjoyment of the caveman. I'm sure they didn't want to live alongside these giant dinosaurs. And another disappointment was finding out that dinosaurs weren't lizards, that dinosaurs are more close to birds than they are to lizards. That was a freaky revelation. A lot of things in my childhood that I grew up to learn were wrong, like the gravity on Jupiter. I remember the gravity on Jupiter was thousands of times that of Earth, and now you find that's only like 4 times or something like that. There was a lot of things that changed, and makes me think of the Mandela effect. Let's go to the next page. Look at that. Look at that double page spread. Look at that double page spread. You're crazy. You're doing exactly what Sauron wants you to do. Stop. The only place you're going to rule is hell. That's another. You see, for those of you who are new, when the word balloon is all pointy like that, that shows extreme emotion, rage. So Wolverine sees his friend Storm helpless and defeated, which is, not typical Storm. She's usually regal and in control. Although now that I said that, it made me think that in these early issues, Storm was, a lot of the times, her weakness hindered her. Claustrophobia is a really good weakness as far as being employed against her. How many times Superman was weak because of kryptonite, but there's no such thing as kryptonite, and kryptonite's supposed to be rare, but yet every third person had kryptonite. But claustrophobia is a real thing, and it's situational. You could be fighting someplace and all of a sudden she gets knocked down and trapped. It's a really good weakness, and it fits somebody named Storm, who the skies and open space. It's just so good. It's so good. So now Wolverine's freaking out. Look at that page. I love that this dinosaur guy has a gun holster. He's got some rounds on his belt. What a great page. And the background is just, let's see, can you see? Look at the background. No details, none needed, because we have this establishing shot. They're in this, is it a swamp? Is it a lake? The sky is blue. So, just look at that. We don't need no stinking background details. The water, a lot of cheats. A lot of cheats on this page, but Byrne is a professional, so you don't notice the cheats. We got this gigantic figure, the wings taking up a lot of the real estate. I love that he has eyebrows. It's just eyebrows on this guy. We got the 5 figures. We got Storm over here, Wolverine's, then just some shrubbery. But it's awesome. You don't have to go all full super detail. Look at that. It's so good. So, we got Dave Brink. Hey, Dave, literally, your comic is the next comic I'm back boxing up. So your Heroic Tales 2. I just said, oh man, Dave is next, but I got to take a break. So you are literally, Dave knows how the Fund My Comic works. There's just a couple pages and you go down the list. Dave's name is literally the next one on the list. So I will be packing up Dave's comic. Forgive me. So Dave is next, Dave Brink. And Dave Brink is the guy behind Genuine Comics. And Genuine Comics has a Safeguard and Perfect 10 on Fund My Comic right now. I highly recommend them if you like superhero comics. And if you like superhero comics and you're here, you will enjoy those. And this is definitely John Byrne goodness. That's a bedroom poster for sure. Great Wolverine shot. Yeah, this image has been taken out and used a few times in advertisements and other. But yeah, that is just great. The only thing that bothers me is his eyes are white. So that means there's got to be lenses in the costume. I know it's artistic license, but because sometimes you see his eyes, but does he have lenses? I don't know. I just like Sauron's name in the fact that he got it from Lord. Yeah, it's cheesy. Yeah, it's cheesy. I do have a dinosaur type guy that literally was inspired by Sauron from when I was a kid. I mean, how can you not? Because it was 82. So 4 years later, I discovered Villains and Vigilantes. And you better believe one of the first things I made up as a bad guy was a dinosaur guy. And I'm not going to give his name away, but there was a dinosaur bad guy inspired by Sauron, but he had a better name as far as I'm concerned. Because by that time, I knew about Lord of the Rings. I literally heard of this character first before Lord of the Rings. And I was like, I thought it was a coincidence, because Sauron, dinosaur, it made sense in a weird kind of way. And then Lord of the Rings, I saw the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings movie cartoon, and I was like, what's going on? And then years later, I got the back issues of the early original X-Men when they introduced Sauron, and he's literally reading, and I was cracking up. I thought it was the funniest thing. How do you pronounce Sauron's name? Sauron, or I pronounce it Sauron, but I have heard people say Sauron. So I don't know. I know that there's recordings of Tolkien, so I'm sure we could hear Tolkien produce it someplace. That's a good question. I got to look that up. But I always say Sauron, but now the Peter Jackson movies say Sauron, right? Or am I misremembering? I don't know. I would, the Peter Jackson films, I changed some of my pronunciations to match that because I figured those guys would know better than me. Safeguard. Yes, Safeguard is a great name for a super team, and that is Dave Brink's comic right now. Check it out. It should be doing triple the numbers that it's doing. Dave, let me ask you, is like right before Christmas, you're a pro now. I consider you a professional as far as making comics and crowdfunding. Is this a bad time to launch a comic? I'm not going to launch Patriarch #1 until we get way more complete. So it wouldn't happen anyway. But like, should you wait till like January or February before launching? What do you think is your professional opinion? You should have a more original name like Morgoth, the Dark One. That's what Morgoth means in the Sindarin language. Still a better name than Dinosaur. Yeah, and he's thanking Marcus for putting up his link. So let's turn this beautiful page. We got Micronauts, the battle cruiser. I saved up all my money and I bought a Micronauts battle cruiser. And then I don't know how somebody bought me another one. So I had 2 Micronauts battle cruisers and I freaking loved it. Oh my God, I love this toy. I love the Micronauts. I love the comics. Man, this brings me so much joy thinking of this toy. I loved it. I loved it. And I don't know what happened. Oh, Zach Tan's got to go. Go have church. We'll catch up to you later. You stop. So this, I just got confused who was talking. So Wolverine's talking. He says, you stop this bargain basement rodent, just chopped an X-Men. And Wolverine's going to make him pay for, hey, you should have listened to your leader while you had the chance, little man. Now it's too late. Got to bust free, but this grip's like an ice cold, his eyes. His eyes! Your mind, your very soul is mine, mutant. Quickly, X-Men, look at your friends and see who the enemy is. So there he is, the eyes of Sauron, however you say it. Now you got me doubting how to pronounce it. I like this little symbolic image of him, like basically his mind taking. Quickly, X-Men, look at your friends and see who the enemy truly is. Oh no. Sauron zapped Wolverine like he did Angel the first time we fought. Unless I'm mistaken, Wolverine doesn't see the X-Men anymore. Way back in X-Men 60 and 61. He just sees a trio of walking nightmares. So this is reality, and this is what Wolverine is now seeing. It's kind of cool. He sees Cyclops as the one-eyed abomination. He sees Banshee as a Gaelic death spirit, and then Nightcrawler has some sort of demon. Pretty cool. Micronauts were very cool, the toy, but the comic sucked. You, sir, are a cad and a scallywag. Because Micronauts was a freaking great comic. Oh my God. The Michael Golden art, Bill Mantlo. Bill Mantlo had highs and lows. And man, that first 11 issues of Micronauts, I'll probably do Micronauts, a series on Micronauts when I'm done with the John Byrne years of X-Men. Oh, man, was Micronauts. I freaking love that comic. No other comic as a kid got me and my friends excited. Like we would hunt down issues. It was Star Wars in a comic book. I mean, man, Star Wars was my childhood. I devoured Star Wars, and then Micronauts was the next best thing. Because funny enough, I didn't like the Star Wars comics because they were different than the movies. But the Micronauts, there was no Micronauts movie, so they could do whatever they want, and that was the real Micronauts. That's what you get, Wolverine. Eat eyes. Let's go. That's weird. I just noticed it says continued after next page, but there's nothing to break it. That's weird. So the ad placement is off. So now Wolverine is coming after the X-Men. I gotta take a sip of coffee. Oh man. Little aside, because that's what Sunday Comics is. It's this conversation. It's a conversation between me and my comic book friends. You guys, you 20 watching right now are my comic book friends. But so I might as well show the comic. I got issue 2 and 3 of The Next Evolution by Heather Vele. And I really, really, really love this premise of this comic. I think it's a really great premise. Like it should be a movie. That's how good this premise is. And I backed it on from my comic, and I didn't use the add-on option. I bought issue 2 and I bought issue 3, so I paid shipping twice, and that's fine. Contrary to what somebody says, I'm not broke, so fine. So I paid shipping twice. Consider it a contribution. So I open up the comic, and where is it? There's this in there. She sent me $10 back. Reimbursed me for my shipping. She said she couldn't sleep at night knowing that. That was nice. She didn't have to do that. She did not have to do that. I didn't ask her to do it. And quite frankly, I didn't even realize that I paid twice for shipping. So she reimbursed me, and I told her I was going to take that $10 and buy coffee. So I literally didn't use that $10, but I took $10 and I bought coffee because I was out of coffee. So I was like, thank you, Heather. I was out of coffee. Now you bought me coffee. So she's like, enjoy your coffee. So Heather, this is your coffee. Thank you. And I went to Dunkin' Donuts, and they had a sale, 2 for 1. So I got 2 pounds of coffee for $10. Then my wife came home because she felt bad that I didn't have coffee. She bought me coffee, but all they had was beans. But I got a bean grinder. And then she went to Walmart, and she found Tim Hortons coffee was on sale. So I got plenty of coffee. I'm good. But that has nothing to do with the X-Men. So let's do these 2 pages, and then I'll check out the comments. So Wolverine's freaking out. He's coming at them. Blast, why couldn't he have listened for once? I love that Cyclops getting so frustrated. With his power and natural ferocity, he could cut us all to pieces long before Sauron's hypnotic control wears off, unless I stop him first. So I love the consistency here of Cyclops blasts. Cyclops blasts are concussive. They're force. They're kinetic energy. It's like getting hit by the Hulk. So he hits Wolverine. Boom! The impact knocks him down, and then the blast continues. Love it. I love that. And he had no choice. Wolverine is too tough. He had to just hit him. He aimed for the head, knocked him in the head, knows his adamantium skull. Or does he? At this point, it's never been stated that Wolverine has an adamantium skeleton. I know he has one now, which means he had one then, but that's not the way comic books work. You don't have it until it's specifically mentioned. These aren't real beings, contrary to popular belief. These are figments created. So until it's established, so that only makes this feat even better. Shows you how much control Cyclops has. Are you mad? Trust me, Banshee. I had to look. I got no time to explain. Just get airborne after Sauron and don't make eye contact with it. He has a hypnotic effect that makes Mesmero look like a rank amateur. Now remember, a couple of issues ago, they were in Mesmero's thrall for months. So he knows that Banshee right away knows this is bad then. If he's more tough than Mesmero. Now, they were in Mesmero's thrall for months. But they were around Mesmero. So could Mesmero like use his power and control him for a day only, but then he was in contact with, so he could constantly do it? Or are you under Mesmero's control? You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of stuff I would like to know. Interesting. Sounds like he's never heard of Banshee. Huh? A flying savage? All I need are a few seconds to get up. So now, I guess Banshee doesn't need those wings to fly, right? Has it ever been established that he needs the wings to fly? Because now he's flying. And usually they put like this red energy cocoon around him when he's flying. But they are giving him thought balloons rather than the word balloons, because he has to scream. So I would have, like, I'm an expert, but I would have had Sauron going like, that sound is annoying. I would have. And I would always put like a little sound effect, scream or something like that, to remind the, because Banshee, he just jumps and flies. No, he has to scream. And I would make it so that he flies, and then when he takes a breath, he falls. And then, so I would have him flying like a sine wave. You're wasting your time. My strength alone is more than enough. That's my dinosaur voice, by the way. My strength alone is more than enough to smash your screeching form to a bloody pup. Okay, so he brings up the screeching right here. Is it now? Boom. Boom. We got this foliage over here. Still pretty. I'm noticing that the backgrounds are pretty sparse. Over here we got some sketchy mountains. Just red. Just, yeah. I'm just observing the backgrounds. Yeah. So John Byrne, I think, was professionally cheating. Again, Nightcrawler's doing nothing. Nightcrawler seems to do a lot of nothing in these early days. Stay here, Nightcrawler. Make sure Wolverine and Storm are okay. As you wish, Cyclops. Rise and shine, mein Freund. You can't have you drowning it. Lousy demons, you ain't taking me. Oh, that's interesting. So Wolverine's face down in the water. As far as I'm concerned, you cannot regenerate from drowning. So it's like drowning, I think, would be a real threat to somebody like Wolverine, especially with high density, heavy bones. So, let's check out the comments. That's what you get. Wolverine, eat eyes. My next campaign launches in February. I think February for me too. Also, I don't mean to just let me know. I don't want to launch on the same day. I don't want to be stepping on anybody. Not that I'm a threat to you, but you know what I mean. Just professional courtesy for a guy that I like. Best to avoid December and January when possible. Although I would launch during those months if I had 6 campaigns to spread out over the year. Yeah, I get that. I don't think I'll ever have 6 campaigns a year. I wish, but I don't think so. Really, sir, it wasn't better than ROM. Now that's a low silica. ROM was awesome. ROM really holds up too. Had no right to be that good based on that crummy toy, but yeah, ROM was awesome. I'm not going to argue with that. I have a, is it nostalgia? But nobody could argue the art in the first 12 issues. I think Golden left at issue 12. The art was so good. Great storytelling. Yeah, yeah. Again, Marcus is bringing up a point that I think I need to clarify. For anybody that's new, storytelling is the ability in comics. Storytelling is the consistency of each panel and the continuity from panel to panel to panel to deliver the story. And yes, great storytelling. I could take away all of these words, and you could. I mean, without the words, you could figure that Sauron. Look at that panel. That is a great panel because take away the words. You speak Klingon, you speak Sindarian. You can figure out what's going on, And then we got this shows, so you know what's going on. I love it. I love it. It's absolutely right. Bird's art never fails to entertain and inspire you. Again, let me know in the chat. Is this the first time you're seeing this? Is this the first time? Because I'm taking for granted that everybody knows these issues, So let me know if this is the first time you're seeing these comics. So is that what John Byrne thinks Cyclops beam sounds like? I don't know if it's John Byrne or Chris Claremont that comes up with the sound effects, but either way, it's the creators of the comic. Zarp, Zark. Yeah, that's the. And in this era of the comic, that's what they sound like. Zark, Zarp. Banshee's powers are amazing. He should be on Claw's level when it comes to sound manipulation. Yeah, but he never had the solid illusion powers, like Claw had. But yeah. I just lost my train of thought. Yep. Level. Okay, let's go to the next page. Now we got the ads over here. Be a draftsman. These 3 big drafting kits. Good job in drafting. Coconut stamp. Again, I wish I saw all these buy and sell comics catalog. I mean, I saw them. I just never paid attention. 5 Faces of Hitler. There you go. 5 Faces of Hitler. Now hard to get. A must for every collector, plus Triangle Scouts. Stamps on approval, returnable without obligation. Yeah, I only thought Hitler had 1 face. If he's got 5 faces, 5 Faces of Hitler. There we go. How's that for a comic? Dave, why don't you make that comic? Coming soon in May on Fund My Comic. Genuine Comics, 5 Faces of Hitler. In action scenes that keep moving, you can do visual storytelling so readers can still follow what's going on. Talking scenes depend more on the reader's effort. Yes, I agree. Woke up just in time. Slime monsters trying to scrag Genie. Wait, so what happened? I got distracted by Hitler. Lousy demons, you ain't taking me. So boom, he gets punched, and then the next panel, woke up just in time. That's a goof, if you ask me. If you ask me, that is a goof. He punches Nightcrawler, and then the next panel, woke up just in time. Slime monsters trying to scrag Genie. Oh, okay. I'm wrong. So he woke up just in time, not woke up from. He's still under Sauron's influence, and he's seeing Cyclops as a monster, and he's seeing Sauron as Jean Grey. Okay. I stand corrected. Get out of here, Genie. What's that sound? Wolverine. I'll handle Slime Puss. So, well, even as a kid, I always thought it was just so odd that whenever Wolverine goes after his teammates, either misunderstandings, mind control, or just he goes for the kill. Whenever he goes after bad guys, he pulls his punches. Wolverine, I'll handle Slime. No, something's wrong. I'm talking like Jeannie's alive, but she ain't. He's hesitating. So Wolverine is starting to realize that something's off. So he's trying to save Jean Grey, Phoenix, and now his subconscious is telling him, wait, Jean's dead. Remember, Wolverine thinks Jean Grey. So he's hesitating, and that gave Cyclops enough time. I hate to do this, pal, but as the saying goes, It's for your own good. That's a pet peeve of mine. He's thinking, and then he finishes his thought out loud. I don't know. It works in comics. So here, boom. Shazark Kabash. Marvelous, Cyclops. You're doing my work for me. And once I finished you, the rest of your pathetic team will be easy prey. Banshee, high-low now. Cyclops, now I understand why you wanted me in the air. My sonic scream stung the scaly beggar from above. And then your optic blast struck him from below. A nasty 1-2 combination, lad, but no more than Sauron deserves. So, a lot of superfluous dialogue, but then again, that's Chris Claremont for you. You didn't need all of this. Just high-low now. Oh, I gotcha. Here you go. That's it. That's really all you need. All of this whole, these two thought balloons are just overdone with. But it's okay. I don't mind extra dialogue. I don't mind extra dialogue. So I love that. So we got here a combo attack. Curse them. The energy shock to my system was almost more than I could stand. It strained me. So again, he says this out loud, then he finishes thoughts. That just bothers me. This should have been a thought balloon too. It strained me of my life force I absorbed from the Black Woman. I'm starting to change back to Carl Lycos. Lycos, the sniveling weaker. So here we go. Now we get the flashback. Lycos, the sniveling weakling. I'll die before I revert to him again. Where's the woman? Wait, that man holding her. I sense power in him as great as hers. Storm, what happened? Be proud, mutant. Your power will make Sauron invincible. Dun, dun, dun. So Colossus stumbles upon Storm. He hasn't been in the fight yet. And now Sauron recharges his batteries at the expense of Peter Rasputin. And I already saw it. What's with 5 Faces of Hitler? Well, it was the 70s. Those pages are awesome when it comes to action. Yeah, I know. Dave, how do you? I find action scenes incredibly difficult to write because you want them to be exciting, and I don't know about you, but stay up late. Woke up early. I want them to be clever too. I don't want to just be Patriarch punches Robug punches Patriarch punches Robug collapses. You know what I mean? That's boring. I want it to be clever. So man, I wrote a couple of action scenes. Well, Boss Moxie was an action scene. I wrote an action scene with fighting Dr. Robug, and I was freaking out. I knew how he was going to defeat him the whole time. But getting to that, I was like, how do I make this visually interesting? And then in Heroic Tales 2, there's a couple of action scenes. How do you make them clever? How do you make them fun? That's the tough part. And you can see a through thread. Patriarch is more of a defeat your enemies through what's the word? Like not compromise, because it's not like he's giving up everything, but through pleading and words, through diplomacy. He's a good diplomatic hero. And Mary Sue will be defeating her villains by cleverness. Different. Mary Sue is more clever than the Patriarch. I find it difficult to write a character thought bubbles. When it's done well, it's great, but often we don't need it. I like Thought Balloon. And the Patriarch had a lot of Thought Balloons because it was him flying around by himself in issue number 1. Less Thought Balloons in issue 2 because there was somebody to riff with. Yeah, action scenes are tough to write, especially with multiple characters. Yeah, and man, you had like 30 characters fighting. It's funny because kind of inspired by you. Yes, I wear my inspirations on my sleeve. Tentatively issue 5, there's going to be a character inspired by 10 and different enough that Dave won't get mad, but inspired by, and now I'm excited. I've been plotting it. It just came up with the a good ending for it. And I want to start writing it tomorrow, because tonight I want to get the script done, the lettering script over to Bill, and then tomorrow I'm going to start writing a story, and I purposely am going to have the biggest fight scene ever in the history of comic books. That's my goal. Of course, I won't. It's not. I'm sure somebody could find that this comic book had one more character in it, but it's. And I already warned Renzo, you're going to be drawing like 100 superheroes costumes, and then Oscar's got to color them correctly. It's going to be a pain in the neck, but it's going to be fun. And it's directly inspired by all those wonderful, perfect 10 jumbo fight scenes. Oh, okay. John Byrne at his best. Hey, this is a new name, Mad Mel. How you doing, Mad Mel? Good to see you. And yes, I agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. So let's get back. And again, I keep noticing the backgrounds. This must have been a pleasure for John Byrne. Must have been like, let's go back to the Savage Land, because he could get away with these sparse backgrounds. Subscription pages, super prizes or cash. And now we got Sauron. I like this. I like the implications of this. It's almost like Sauron is feeding. It's like he's vulnerable. He's just like in the ecstasy of drawing the power. It like, and of course Colossus had more power than he thought, so he's just, in his onrush of delicious mutant energy. Colossus. Sauron's feeding him off like a leech. Somewhere in Peter Rasmussen's mind, a psychic relay closes in an awesome physical transformation. Colossus, change! In its place is the armored form of Colossus, and as Cyclops hope the sudden, massive power surge is too much for Sauron to withstand. Oh, who's been playing pinball with my head? What the? You, Sauron. I remember you now. You twisted my skull inside out and made me try to ace the X-Men. Changing. Thank God. So notice what I said. Wolverine, anytime he's going after the X-Men, he's full-on murder mode. Now he's going to take out the guy that mind controlled him and almost had him kill his friends. He's got no claws. It's just one of those things that bother me. Wolverine, you have the willpower not to kill the guys that, but you don't have the willpower not to kill your friends. It's just one of those things that bother me. So he should have had the claws out, because he knew Kazar was going to. But anyway, I don't take too kindly to people mucking with my mind, bub. Any last requests? So he should have had the claws out. He's threatening to murder him. So is that a mistake? I would say yes. Stop. Release my friend Carl Icos, costume one, or face the wrath of Kazar, Lord of the Savage Land. This guy owes me, Blondie. And since he's your buddy, I'll be glad to take it out on your pussycat too. On you and your pussycat too. Hold on. Kazar, it's me, Cyclops. I remember you, X-Men. In fact, there's you and your companions, Lycos and I, were on our way to sea. We need your help. Bub, you sure got a funny way of asking. Cool it, cat. I'll make nice with your pal. And again, why doesn't he have the claws out? Why doesn't Wolverine have the claws out? So, Safeguard campaign closes in 10 hours. I urge you guys to check it out. Check it out. It's going to be good. Follow my comic, Safeguard. There you go. Check it out. I actually joined SLC when I was a kid. Salt Lake. What is SLC? Oh, is it the ads? Oh, okay. Join SLC. What was it? Could you tell me what it was? I don't really understand what it was. And what did you do? Did you get anything? What happened? I would love to hear that kind of stuff. All of these little advertisements. There's a couple of YouTube channels that show you what you get when you order stuff from the catalog. They're kind of fun. So continued after next page. We got the Dr. Doom ad. Dun, dun, dun. Heal, super dogs. That's a strange insult. Heel Super Dogs. It's the infamous Milk Duds Super Duds sweepstakes. Milk Duds. Milk Duds. That's a lot of words. I don't think I've ever read this. I don't think I've ever read this. And I'm not starting now. The infamous Milk Duds Super Duds sweepstakes. It's infamous. How could it be infamous? This is the first time it's ever happened. First and only time. So it can't be infamous. Stop lying to me, you advertising liars. Another ad over here. Send for the Marvel superheroes. If you order 5, you get a free subscription to Star Wars. There you go. You order 5 titles, you get a free subscription to Star Wars. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Let's see. What do they got? What do they offer? They got Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Conan, Avengers, Incredible Hulk, Captain America, Daredevil, Thor, Godzilla. That's all they had? Well, X-Men isn't in here. X-Men isn't here. So that's not all of them. And free bonus subscription to Star Wars. That's a great deal. So I like looking at the names. So we got Sam Petuit, Mrs. T.J. Morgan, Brian Nelson. And subscribe now to Pizzazz to get 6 months of your favorite comics. See, over here they got Marvel Tales featuring Spider-Man. So, so if you get Pizzazz, you also get 6 months subscription to something else. Pretty cool. Anybody subscribe to comics? Anybody? I subscribed to Doctor Strange and something else. I subscribed to Doctor Strange and I think Ghost Rider because they were tough to get in my neighborhood. I love that line from Wolverine. Superheroes have to be ready to fight for almost no reason. Yeah, that's the whole point. Those advertisements bring me back. I know, aren't they great? It takes quite a while for some to understand. It takes quite a while for some understandably hot tempers to cool. So even so, the air is thick with tension, which everyone gathers in the village council house. Storm and Wolverine are still looking daggers at Carl Lycos from across the fire. So, typical comic book fashion. I need your help. Misunderstanding. Let's fight. And now, Kazar. This is the first time the new X-Men are meeting Kazar. Cyclops, of course, has known Kazar since what, issue 3 or 4. Again, this just defeats the whole X-Men are mutant rights activist allegory, Malcolm X, whatever nonsense that they impose on the X-Men. The X-Men were adventures. For every one mutant story, there was 3 adventure stories. They're going in back and fighting dinosaur men and going into the Savage Land and fighting Lucifer from space. The whole mutant rights stuff just became a slog and a bore, as far as I'm concerned. And so Kazar's telling them, you said you need your help, Kazar. We're waiting for an explanation. The story begins with me, Cyclops. So here we go, filling all the details. And I love this. They're sitting around talking. Well, super hot chicks in bikinis, fur bikinis, are waiting on them hand and foot. Why leave the Savage Land? Why leave the Savage Land? Look at this. On the night you and the other X-Men stopped me from murdering the father of the woman I loved, I was mad then, consumed by an evil side of me that is Sauron. I love when John Byrne draws the old X-Men. To deny that evil, I fled halfway around the world to Tierra del Fuego. I hope to die there. Britannia, my dear love, found me first. Rather than survive by taking her life, I tried to take my own. So in X-Men 61, Carl Lygos threw himself into a crevasse. That's a word you don't get to say too much. Crevasse. You saw me fall into that seemingly bottomless chasm. You didn't see me land, semi-conscious, on a small ledge a few meters below the Tor. Oh, before the top. Jeez, I can't see in the dark. So, typical comic book fashion. You fall to your death. The X-Men give a cursory look. He's dead. Leave. Absorbing Man falls into the ocean. He's gone. Magneto falls down and off a building. He's dead. The superheroes just have formed the lamest search parties. They got a telepath. She can't scan for thoughts. You know what I mean? But whatever. Unless you see the body, you ain't dead. And I'm not going to be above that. I'm going to say, I can't think of an instance in my comic where that happened yet. So far, in issue 1, the bad guys were apprehended by the police. I don't want to spoil issue 2 yet, for those of you who didn't get it, but nobody has fall to their certain doom yet. And then the superhero gives a cursory, he's fine. He's calm. I can't see him right now. It's like Jason. You take your eyes off him and he's gone. Superheroes are really bad, really bad at search parties. Oh, let's look at the comments. These are the comments that you could read over and over. Something magical about them. Absolutely. I've been rereading these comics for decades. Absolutely, Dave. And speaking of which, when I get the Perfect 10 hardcover, I'm going to reread 1 to 6 of Perfect 10 in one sitting, or at least as close to one sitting. I'm a very slow reader. As close to one sitting as I can get. Can't wait. Hey, we got Ben Samar, voice actor. How you doing? I'm very well today. I'm in a good mood. I got a lot of. I'm the kind of person that if I have bills outstanding or if I got something to do, it just weighs on my soul. I'm not saying I jump up and do it. I'm saying it weighs on my soul until I get it done. And now that not only do I see light at the end of the tunnel, but I can see beyond the tunnel of being finished delivering all these comics. Yes, I went a little slower this time. I think that the excitement, energy, I hate saying what I'm saying right now because it makes it sound like I'm not grateful for everybody. It was all new and exciting, and I just turned into a robot last delivery. But now, and then I had to take a week off because I ran out of Gemini mailers, and I had to get a third-party Amazon. It took an entire week. The current X-Men have no memorial characters and they have the Juggernaut as a member. What's the point of adding non-mutants that's supposed to be mutant team? Yeah, might as well be the Avengers. Good point. That does irk me when they add like is Warlock, the robot from outer space, is he a mutant? He's an alien. Maybe he's a mutant on his planet, but to us he's an alien. Words have to have meaning, and I do agree when they Fantastic Four are a family. So it always did kind of bother me when She-Hulk joined, and they swap out members. Crystal was part of the team for a while. It bugs me. But I always know that kind of stuff is temporary. But it does bug. Yeah, absolutely. Like the Avengers, those are the premier, team. Daredevil, Moon Knight, Spider-Man, they shouldn't be on the Avengers. Those guys, to me, are solo operatives. They work best solo operatives. I know Spider-Man has been on the Avengers probably now longer than he's not been on the Avengers. And the theory is it's a total marketing thing. Put all the best members on the Avengers. Put all the most popular characters. Wolverine is not an Avenger. It just doesn't seem to work. Like each it's a flavor in the food that just distorts the taste of the entree. Yes, I'm getting hungry if I'm talking about food. Sauron is such a fire character too. I can't think of anything being a were-dinosaur before. Were-dinosaur. I didn't think of it like that. But he's a were-dinosaur. Wow. A weresaur. Wow. You just blew my mind away with that comment. Sometimes things are so obvious that you don't notice them. Great comment. He's a were-dinosaur. Everybody saying hello. I subscribe to a lot of Marvel comics. Did your comics come in good shape? Mine came with creases on them and stuff. I couldn't wait for the subscriptions to end. So let's get to the next page. Were-dinosaur. That's just freaking me out. That's so good. So as you can see now, the it looks like John Byrne saved all the backgrounds for later. You can see now that the panels are rounded. That indicates a break in time. This is all flashback. When I woke, I made my way down the cliff face. I didn't know what to expect at the bottom. And I knew that anything would be better than the hell my life had on the surface had become. Eventually, I reached the Savage Land. In a strange way, I felt like I had come home. So at this point, are they implying that the Savage Land is like underground? Or is that, I don't know. There is so much inconsistency when it comes to the Savage Land. Guys like me need continuity, but it's hard to have continuity when you have 100 different creators over 40, 50, 60 years. I still needed life energy to survive, but I only took it from the lesser animals around me. That answers that question. He can feed off anything that's alive. So he's like a aware vampire dinosaur. I became one with the land, and I finally made peace with myself. Then it was just a few weeks ago I chanced upon a strange procession. Priests and acolytes of Thor, led by an exotically beautiful woman to the nightmarish temple. Hear me, O Garok! Hear the words of Zaladane, your appointed priestess. Part of the ancient prophecy has been fulfilled. Once again, a man from the outside world has come into our land to be touched by the hand of a god. Rejoice, O Lord of the Sun, for the time of apotheosis is at hand. Today begins God birth. Zaladane gestured, and a massive slab rose out of the cave, a slab with the man chained. This is insane. Please listen to me, please. There's been a terrible mistake. No mistake, Kirk Marston. You are the chosen one. Be silent now as I daub your breast with blessed oil from the ashes of him who was our God. What are you doing? No. He puts a symbol on him. It burns. I died, consumed by the starborn fires that gave me birth, and now the petrified man lives again. Welcome, Holy One. I, Zaladane, your princess, summon you from the Shadow Kingdom, death and worse. Now stalk the Savage Land. Your people cry out, I sense both truth and falsehood in your words, woman. You speak of death and worse than death. Now show me. Now how? So he heard all of these words inside this temple. I'm calling a little BS on that, but whatever, it works. So this is just all of now that I'm reading this in rapid succession, I'm starting to realize now. So think about this. This all started, the Beast goes looking for the X-Men, can't find the X-Men. Then he finds out that they're in a carnival. So the story goes like this. So Beast finds the X-Men. Mesmero's got them held hostage. Okay. Then they break free. They start fighting. Magneto just beats Mesmero and takes the X-Men to the Savage Land. So now they're going this way. They're in the Savage Land, and boom, volcano, poof. Now they're in the Savage Land. They're fighting Sauron. It's another just perpendicular move. And now they're fighting Sauron. Boom. Oh, we need your help to fight Garok. There's like, it's just dun 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 dun. It's no story's completed. There's no satisfying conclusion. There's no reason other than stumble, stumble, stumble. And yet we love these freaking comics. It just shows you how the passion, the talent, the creativity, but the weakness. I'm saying it right now. I know. Von Coleman praises the Chris Claremont, but I'm saying the plots are terrible. The plots are terrible. That they're held by just like a Deus Ex Machina just shows up, a meteor just shows up, and it's a total curve. All right, let's look at the on a break, listening to 2 times speed. There's some sort of Savage Land in Genuine Verse. You need cool, adventurous locations. Yes, there's a couple of Savage Lands in the long box world. You haven't seen hide or hair of them yet, but is it really a comic book world if you don't have a Gorilla City or Hidden Land of Dinosaurs? You ain't doing it right if you don't have that kind of stuff. So, I hope to come around long enough to show that kind of stuff. Got a Torch for the Traveler, kind of like Burning Man, but Carl lived. Yep, everybody's saying hello. So we will go back to the comic. Let's turn the page. You got more ads? Any Hitler stuff in this ads? No. That was really weird. The 5 Faces of Hitler. If anybody's new, go back and check that out. Law Enforcement, poems, comic books, Pacific Comics. They later became a publisher on their own. The Amazing Power Builder. And this is odd. There, Holy One. Behold a city where but days ago there was only a swamp. Even the sky is tainted by its blasphemous presence. Part of me remembers war, conquest, and base betrayal by these who trusted the man I was. I didn't believe what I had seen or what I saw, but those sights paled beside what was to come. So, this is, oh, you can't see it on the screen. I'm looking at the comic. So now they're seeing a city with other planets in the distance and stuff like that. So is this a mirage? Is this a hallucination? Is this the city warps time and space? That city is the cause. Even from afar, I feel the untold suffering its alien people have brought to mind, and they shall bring no more. By my soul, let the madman conflict end, and let these alien intruders be gone. The blinding beams of light flash from the petrified man's eyes, and when I saw the otherworld city, its universe around it simply disappeared. So it was like a rift in space and time, this city. And, it was like a warp. Their world was overlapping with ours. That's why we could see all these planets, stuff like that. It's very Lovecraft. Lovecraft did have I guarantee, because you could tell what Chris Claremont was reading at the time, or what movies he was watching at the time he wrote a script. I guarantee you he was reading, I can't think of the name of the story, but in the story there was like the dreamlands of unknown Kadash. There was like cities that fold space. And then there was a being, Gatana Toa, that if just to see him, he petrifies you. He was this stone, slow being. I guarantee you, Claremont was reading that kind of stuff when he came up with the story. I still don't believe it. Somehow he manipulated a trans-dimensional warp, like a sculptor molding clay. In many ways, my friend Garak, the petrified man, is indeed like unto a god, the night he was reborn. I was leading an attack in the city of Shi'Nars, see Khazar number 20, at the time, and I thought I and my friends had been transported to the Shi'Nar dimension, whereas in reality, part of their world had been transported to ours. So look at this. He's writing Flying Sharks. This Khazar series was good. Was a lot of good. I'm thinking of the one that came later, the direct market one. I don't know why, but I do really like Khazar. Suddenly, in the midst of the battle around, the flying shark beneath me faded away, as if they never were. Having no wings, I fell. Karlikos and Tandy Snow found me, and together we nursed Tonga and the Outworlder, Kloss, and Zabu back to listen to these names. They almost died at the hands of the Shi'Nar vampire race. Lycos told me of Grok's resurrection. I knew it boded ill for the Savage Land, and I could do nothing until my friends had fully recovered. Alas, by then we were too late. Using slave labor, Garak built the first metropolis in the central. So this is just info dump the comic. Now, had I put this in an issue of Heroic Tales, I think you all would be lambasting me. And to be honest, this is almost what happened. My first script was info dump the comic. But this is just, so I'm taking a guess that Khazar got canceled and the story wasn't finished, and now they're using this comic to finish the story in Khazar, which is admirable, because somewhere those Khazar comics had fans that were like, what happened? So I really do like when they finish the story. Notably, they finished Nova. The original Nova ended in issue 25, and they didn't finish the story, but they finished it in Fantastic Four. So I do like when they finish a story. It's just satisfying. But Jim Starlin did that. A lot of his stuff got canceled, and he just laterally moved to work on the same story in another comic. But man, this is just info dump the comic? What would you think if you bought top 10 number 3 and then it was just info dump like this? Somehow I think the monthly schedule and the low price gives you a lot of forgiveness. If you had to pay $10 and then wait 8 months, I think you would be a little annoyed. He means for all who dwell in the Savage to live there. Those who refuse are slain. A regrettable but necessary step, he says, to ensure the common good. His goal, peace, is admirable, but the beans is abomination. Tonga's fall people and I have tried to stop him, and we failed. With your help, X-Men, perhaps we could see. Far by me, Blondie. Sounds like my kind of fracas. My sentiment's exactly short stuff. No. Dun, dun, dun. So, I'm seeing in the comments. Before I turn the page, I'll address the comments and we'll have a little discussion. I think Claremont lost something without Byrne. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Byrne and Shooter were the sandpaper to Claremont's, grandiose, crazy. I almost think like Claremont was like ADHD guy. I just read some Lovecraft and some John Carter, Warlord of Mars, and I want to put this in the story, and then Byrne was like, okay, but we'll add this. And then Jim Shooter's like, yeah, but that's not a story. Because look at this. This whole series is just the X-Men zigzagging around. It's almost like the last page of each story is ripped off, and the first page of the next story is just inserted. They're fighting Mesmero, and then all of a sudden Magneto just knocks out Mesmero and kidnaps him. And then the next adventure begins, And then they're fighting Magneto. The volcano collapses. They're in the Savage Land. Now they're fighting Sauron, and this fight doesn't reach a conclusion. Now there's another guy. Hey, they had a Be Taller ad. Yeah, Be Taller, lifts. So if Carl Lycos isn't Garak, then who was? Okay, all right. So, good question. So, let's go back. Where's the Be Taller ad? Be Taller ad in here? Yeah, Be Taller. Wish it was a baller. Wish it was taller. So, where is his name? Kirk Marston. So, who is Kirk Marston? Who cares? When the story starts, they found an Outworlder, already chained him to there, and his name is Kirk Marston. Carl Lycos is Sauron. Kirk Marston is Garak. It's really bad when you think about it. This is like really bad plotting. Who is Zaladin? This is just info dump. They're in the Savage Land fighting dinosaurs. They meet Sauron. They're fighting Sauron. All right, he's shown up in the X-Men before, but now this is taking us from out of the X-Men. This is all Kazar's lore, and then we got interdimensional being. It's the same thing that happened with Eric the Red and McCann the Dead, the Mad Emperor. But I do love this concept of this. Now, who are these guys? This is the bad city. Garak just comes and destroys this city, and now he's building a new city. It's just a lot of stuff. Like, is it fully explained if we read these Kazar stories? I'm pretty sure I have these Kazar comics. And now the Petrified Man, he wants to build a city, and he wants everybody to live in this city and be their benevolent dictator. You're going to have paradise and everything at my terms. And everything, and these people no, we'd rather live free and struggle than live in your city with Garak. So what you got to do is you got to live in the city, and worship Garak, and then he will provide everything for you, which is basically socialism, communism. Worship the government, and the government will give you everything. Except it's a little bit better than the government, because maybe Garak will just magically produce everything you need, but who knows? I wasn't there. We got Fantastic Four 200. Thor, good overcomes evil. Thunder God includes. Excuse me. So he's fighting this golden robot, and he feeds the golden robot fruit pies. Curses. Hostess is a registered trademark of the Continental Baking Company. Marcus, do you know who this looks like? This looks like Sal Buscema. Right? What do you mean no? So no. I mean, as much as we'd like to help Kazar, we can't. Bull. What'll it take, boss man? Blondie down on his knees begging. Figure it out for yourself, Wolverine. We survived the volcano. What if Magneto did too? The next target would be Professor X. I'm sorry, but our first duty is to the professor. I understand, my friend. Do not worry. The Savage Land is vast, and we know it well. Garak and Zaladin warriors will not find us. As soon as things are sorted out on the surface, Kazar will be back. You have my word. That's a laugh. Any way you cut this, you're bugging out. And I'm sick of it. They leave at dawn with Kazar and Zabu escorting the X-Men to the underground tunnel that leads out to the open sea. This is weird. Do Sivdanya. Oh, he's talking Russian. So he's saying goodbye, Neriel. Farewell, my Peter. I will cherish you always. So the X-Men are leaving. By late afternoon, they're near the cavern entrance. Cyclops, the trees, everything looks withered as if by a sudden killer frost. I can see my breath. The air's turning cold. The questions pile on another as they cross the final miles, and then they're at the Great River itself. Holy. Our way out is a solid sheet of ice. That's impossible. This is tidal estuary fed by warm water current. Cyclops. Oh, look at what snowfall. I sense it'll be a heavy one. It's not the first one either. The river's frozen. Here, Wolverine, catch. Elf, you push that magic button. Choose your snowdrift, bub. Loser buys the beer. Stop playing. Don't you realize what happened? It's only a snowstorm. No, not here. They don't. Somehow the sun god has upset the ecological balance of the land. The tropical hothouse effect that has kept the Antarctic cold at bay to the. There's no mere storms. There's no mere snowstorm. The Savage Land is at death. So now they realize if they leave, the whole Savage Land is going to die. And that means all of those innocent people, the hot, topless, primitive chicks, are going to die. Now they realize they got to go back and save the Savage Land. And Dracula's going to eat some Slim Jims, super hang-ups, grit, and a Lego car. Lego cars. With piss motion craft. So there you go. There you go. Do you guys see what I mean? Like the plots are paper thin, overly complicated, come out of nowhere, but it's still excellent. I actually met the voice of Magneto from the 90s X-Men series. I asked him what superpower would he want in real life. He said to heat up his water. They only had 17 pages to work with at the time, and comics were voiced up. Yes, that is a good point. That is a good point, Marcus. Thank you for bringing that up. Is it 22 pages now as the standards? But back then it was 7 pages. They had 5 less pages, so they had to fill in those 5 pages. Really make it stand out. They had to, so they were compact and dense. So we got Carl and Kirk. Are they twins? Yeah. Who is Carl? Oh, Carl Lycos, we know. He's the scientist who turned into Sauron. Who's Kirk? Kirk Marston. Like they say, Kirk Marston, like we're supposed to know who he is. Again, maybe his story is flushed out in that Kazar. I got to look to see if I have that Kazar series. I got to get back to the cataloging my collection. I'm up to box 54. I got to actually have a sticker on one of the long boxes. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I was taking my long boxes out and recording them. And then I was adding them to my database because my database took a dump and I lost everything. So right now I only have boxes 1 to 54 out of like 110 logged in my collection. So I got to get back and do. I only stopped because I broke my neck. So geez, that was 2 years ago. Jeez. Then I got distracted and never went back to it. So I got to get back to doing that. Hell, Marcus. I'm not going to lie. This kind of sounds like a cult the way he's saying it. Which cult? Could you elaborate on that? Because the the cult of the Petrified Man, yeah, that it is absolutely a cult. If you're talking about the X-Men, I kind of agree that that's a cult too. I think an intelligent Kazar was impetus for the Bruce Jones, Brett Anderson Kazars of the 80s. That was the series. That series is awesome. The Bruce Jones, Brent Anderson Kazar of the 80s was really, really good. I dug it. But it kind of broke the Savage Land lore, you know. I think that thought was drawn by Joe Sinnott. Joe Sinnott? Okay. Okay. So when Rogue was in the Savage Land, who wrote that story? I don't know. Who wrote the Rogue in the Savage Land story? That was after my X-Men time. Again, I bought those comics and then I just, you know, what's the binge read them, and my recollection of them isn't as good as these comics that came out monthly. Like, I'm not joking. When I got these monthly comics, I must have read them like 5 times that month in anticipation of the next issue. You know, I only got like few comics per month, so I read and reread and reread and reread the comic. And then sometimes when the new comics came out, I went back and reread it just to refresh myself with the detail. But by the time those comics came out, I was getting so many comics and buying collections that I just literally read them once. So I don't remember who wrote the Rogue in the Savage Land. Was it Claremont? So there you go. We're done with Uncanny X-Men number 115. So as always, I will continue as long as the comments go. You know, at this point, I always tell us what's going on my YouTube channel, and I don't think I have anything scheduled this week. I'm looking at my calendar. I got nothing, absolutely nothing scheduled this week. Marcus, what was It's Clobbering Time going to be Friday? What do we decide on? Oh yeah, Fabrizio Aiello is going to show up. We're going to talk about Horace H. Hoover. So it's going to be detectives. It's detective themes. So other than that, and I got Wednesday comic book team up with RJ. But other than that, I got nothing. So which means Thursday, because this week I'm going to go back to my usually Mondays and Tuesdays I don't stream. So Wednesday will be comic book team up. Thursday I got nothing. Friday it's clobbering time. So I got literally nothing planned. I don't have anybody booked. I got literally nothing planned ever. So wide open if anybody wants to come on the channel. All right. Hey, Bat Sauce is here. How you doing, Bat Sauce? Rogue in the Savage Land was written by Claremont and drawn by Jim Lee. There you go. There you go. I thought it was Claremont. Thank you, John. See you next time. Have a good lazy day. It won't be lazy for me. I'm going to be filling out orders. Dave Brink is literally the next box I got to send out. I meant about the guy in his comics, how he's saying, stay here and I'll give you whatever you want. Oh, yes, exactly. Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Garak, he wants to be worshipped. And he will. It's more than a cult, if you ask me, because he's actually going to give you a nice place to live and provide for all your material needs. All you got to do is give up your individual freedom and worship him, you know. So it's better than a cult because at least you're going to get something out of it. Anyone wants to join me today for my closing stream at 6 p.m. Eastern Time? Oh, okay. It's going to be open. Yeah, I'll try to make it. I'll send an alarm if you'll have me. These comics seem to have a lot of then writing instead of because writing. A lot of things just happen rather than be directly tied. Yeah, I agree. Are you getting back to your gaming group? I would like to get back to my gaming group, but for 2 reasons I am not. Because first reason is my table is just covered with comics. See, there's my table. It's just covered with me fulfilling. So I got to clear that off before I could do anything. Second reason is they're in a D&D campaign. So even if I was like, I'm done, ready, they're going to finish their D&D campaign, and rightfully so. You can't ask them to jump. And then third reason is rumor has it that February I'm going back to Knights. So if they're done with their D&D campaign and they want to play a few times, that's fine. You know, but then I got to go back to work at Knights. Rumor has it. So I don't know. So short answer, I'm not going to go back to the gaming groups until I know what's going on in February. So there you go. Anything else? Bueller? Let me take a sip of coffee. So what do you think? The flaws are evident, but they got good spackle to cover up the flaws in writing, characterization, and storytelling. But to me, the plots are the weakest points of all of these comics. It's amazing, really. I see the glaring weakness in the plots now when I'm looking at this. I said I read these over and over, but I read them as a kid, so I don't know. We might be. That's the rumor that after Christmas we'll go back to nights. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know. So it's hard to tell these guys to let's get back to game. Oops, I'm going back to nights. You know what I mean? When it comes to American comic books, it's hard to tell who wrote them. Unlike manga, we can always tell right away by the art style. Yeah. Manga, as far as I know, because I don't know manga that well, it seems to be like a smaller creative team, or at least one guy's in charge of their story. Where American style comics, for the most part, we'll say like Marvel, DC, Image, it's, well, Marvel and DC, it's company driven. The company ultimately guides these comics. Image Comics, Dark Horse, and everybody below, it's the creative team guides those comics. So I would say like the indies are more manga driven. Like, Dave Brink controls Genuine Comics. He guides those comics. Those are his babies. I do long box comics. Those are my creative vision. Cyberfrog is Ethan Van Sciver's vision. Nobody tells him how to do that comic. And I think that's the purest form of comics. X-Men, it's Marvel Comics controls the destiny of the X-Men. And ultimately, if they don't like what Chris Claremont is doing, they can boot him or change it. Whereas manga, as far as I know, the creator of the manga controls it. Now, I'm sure that somebody could find an instance where the company or the publisher told the writer to do something else. I'm sure. But for the most part, right? Isn't it like creator owned, driven? And I think that's better. If it lives and dies by the love and passion of the creator. I don't know. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything? Bueller? All right, I guess I shut this down and have my breakfast. I didn't eat breakfast yet. I woke up like 20 minutes before it was time to do this video, as you can tell by my hair. All right, so I guess it's time for me to say goodbye, kids.
Goodbye, kids.